thanks for having me on your show again, Andrea. I appreciate that. I think I'm going to miss saying that. I was on Andrea's show quite a bit through the years. She would always call me maybe the day before. I would go on, hey, I need somebody to talk about this, I need somebody to talk about that. And she always knew I would, probably because I like to hear myself on the radio or because I would say something smart that I couldn't get to say in my classes. I probably had her come to speak to my classes as often as she had me on her show. I teach at San Francisco State, and what was great about having her come to my class over the years was that she would probably build a larger following at KPFA that probably wouldn't have existed otherwise of my students who weren't KPFA listeners by any stretch, but got to meet somebody who was kind of a star on the radio and somebody that they would listen to over the years. And I would hear from students who would come back in grad school and over the years and say, oh, I'm so glad I got to meet Andrea Lewis in person because I've been listening to her for the last 8 years or the last 10 years. And so she had that effect on a lot of people. I prepared some remarks, but I'm just going to talk from the heart for a few minutes. Andrea was one of my closest friends over the years. We met 15, 16 years ago on the editorial board of Third Force magazine. I was happy to see John Anner here tonight. John, the person who brought us together back in 1993 on that editorial board with the Center for Third World Organizing, and Andrea was such a welcoming presence, especially to me. I was the kid on the editorial board and really in over my head. But, you know, she really had this welcoming spirit and this gift to make anyone feel comfortable, and she, we stayed really close friends over the years, I think, because she just reminded me of family. Right off the bat, she was as close to me as any family that I've had, and I'm really close to my family. I regret that my family never got to meet Andrea. They're mostly in San Diego, but I feel like she knew them, and that I knew her family, and I'm glad to meet her family today. What strikes me about many of the things that people have said about Andrea over the last week is that what a great listener she was. And you know, we would hang out. We would go to ball games. If you don't know, I'm the sports friend of hers, right? So she would tell people, I got this kind of goofy straight guy sports friend who's always on the radio with me talking about Barry Bonds and things that nobody on KPFA probably wants to listen to, but it might have been true. But she insisted that we have those conversations because honestly that's where a lot of people were. I mean, people would really, those topics resonate with just regular people, and Andrea was, if anything else, extraordinary as she was also a regular person, which is why so many of us loved her. But we would hang out at these ball games, talking for 3 hours, and at the end of the ball game, I'd go home and I realized I didn't ask her so much about herself, and it wasn't because I was being impolite or that I didn't care. I cared deeply about her, but she would almost grill me every time we were together. She would interview me about every aspect of my life, usually my personal life and why I wasn't married and how come I didn't have kids and what was wrong with me and how come I couldn't hang on to a girlfriend and that sort of thing. And she was funny too because, and I'm sure people here can relate to this, she would leave me these phone messages that would probably go on for like a half an hour. But when you called her back, you only had 30 seconds, right? And so I feel like, when we would go out later and we talk, and at the end of it I say, Andrea, I feel like I didn't get to know what's going on with you. And she's like, well, I didn't want to hear what was new with you. And then I thought, you know what, though, I hear everything about you in those 5-hour-long phone messages that you leave me, so maybe we're kind of even. But I'm going to miss those messages, and I'm going to miss my friend. And I think I just wanted to keep it brief today and just tell her family how blessed you all are to raise such a wonderful daughter, and how much she meant to all of us here in the Bay Area, and how not just admired but really loved she was here. So rest in peace, my friend. Thank you very much.
Youth Outlook documents current events and issues going on in your community. For more information, go to youthoutlook.org.